Hello, welcome to writing equations in linear function. Um, this is a real world application. Okay, so to continue, when we are writing a linear equation, we're still going to use the slope-intercept form in the format of y is equal to mx plus b. For this time, we want to emphasize that m, or the slope, is the rate of change, and the y-intercept is the starting or initial value in the problem. So let's have our first example. The word problem states that if there's a closet organizer, so the work of this person or the job of this person is to organize the closet, and she has or he has he asked for $100 for consultation fee, and then for every hour that he or she works, she charges $30. Okay, so this story or problem is now represented in a graph here on the right side. Okay, so in here you're going to write the equation as represented by the graph and the word problem. So let's use the first thing that we know. So the problem starts with y, or y is represented by cost. You can find that out from the graph. Here is your y-axis, and this is the total cost. Okay, so we start by saying y is equal to, or cost is equal to. The next thing that is very easy to see is the y-intercept. This is the point that lies along the y-axis, and we know it's 100, positive 100. So then we can write away right at the end plus 100. And now we need to plug in the slope. At the beginning of this video, we said that the slope represents the rate of change. And this you can write down in your notebook. We can find that easily in the word problem, because here $30 represent the payment for the organizer for every hour that he or she works. So since this is the amount that will tell you how much the organizer is being paid, so this is our slope. So we just plug it in, 30, and then we put the x. We will know what x represent for each hour, because you can look at the graph here. At the x-axis it says time or hour, so we know that x represents the time. So now we just clean this up. The equation will look like y is equal to 30x plus 100. If you want your equation to, or your variable to be represented by real life situation, you can change y to cost and x to time, okay, or hour, so that it's easier to follow. Okay, so when we continue, so identify the slope and y-intercept and describe their meanings. So the y-intercept is 100. This is the cost at 0 hour when x is 0, or the starting fee or initial value. Okay, and then the slope is the rate of change, so $30 per hour. So now that we have what if, there's another problem that says find the cost of the organizer if he or she works for 12 hours. Just simply use the equation that you wrote. So y is equal to 30x plus 100. Just plug in 12 to x, because we know that x represents the time. So 30 times 12 plus 100 will give you 460. So the cost of the organizer when he or she works for 12 hours is $460. Okay, let's have another example before you get started with your own work. So now this time it's a caterer that charges $200 at the beginning, and then you add $18 per person that is served with food. The cost or the graph will be here at the right side. Okay, so we are going to now write the equation. Let's look at what we know right away. We know that the y-intercept is 200, as you can see at 0, when x is 0, that's 200. And then let's find the slope. When finding the slope, let's go back to the word problem. In the word problem, 200 is your initial value, which is the b or y-intercept. And the rate of change, or the value that increases, is 18, depending on how many person is going to be served. So that is your slope. So M slope is $18. Now, you can now write the equation. Y is, put in the slope, which is 18, and then x plus the y-intercept, which is 200. Let's clean that up, and so your equation will look like y is equal to 18x plus 200. Once again, you can change the y into a more applicable or descriptive variable. So y, you can change it to cost, and then x, we can look at the graph. It should be the number of person or people. Okay, but since you are used to using this format, you can leave it as it is. Okay, so once again, let's describe or identify the slope and y-intercept. The y-intercept is the initial value, which is $200, and then the slope is 18. Now let's solve the problem. What if there are 200 guests? How much do you need to pay the catering service company? Okay, so let's use the equation that we created, and then plug in 200 to x. So that will be 18 multiplied by 200 people plus the initial value of 200. I used the calculator and it's 3,800. So the cost of the catering for 200 people is $3,800. Okay, so if you're still confused, you can go back and watch this video again. At this point, I will group you and you will have your breakout room. Okay. You as a team are going to solve the problems and decide what phone will be beneficial to whoever is going to buy the phone. So there are 4 different phone companies that you need to look at as a group. Write the equations for each. Write the equation for each phone deal. And then you have to create the table and also graph. Okay? And if you have any questions, I will visit the breakout room and you can ask. We will be having a live session. Okay, this is it, and we are done.